How's it going, YouTube? It's RJ here, and I want to go and teach you guys how to breed in this one video. This video is going to teach you guys the essentials to breeding, and I will cover the three main subjects to breeding a competitive Pokemon with some additional tips and tricks included. The three main subjects I will be talking about today is breeding for egg moves, breeding a competitive Pokemon with the correct nature and IVs, which is grouped into one part, and finally breeding a shiny competitive Pokemon. Now, I have already created a video for both egg moves and how to shiny hunt in Pokemon Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire and X and Y, but I want to make a big video on breeding all together so you can see it all in one go. The first thing I'm going to cover is the fact that you need to have an idea of what you want to breed and how you want to use it. If you breed, you want to have an end goal of a Pokemon you feel as though is worth using and loving, because breeding allows you to make the perfect Pokemon for yourself and for your team. So for this video, I've decided to go make myself a Beware. And I'm going to teach you guys how to breed yourself a competitive Pokemon using Beware as an example, and potentially even getting a shiny competitive Beware at the very end. So thank you guys, and I hope you guys enjoyed the rest of the video, and let's move on. Now, before you even think about starting to competitively breed, the first thing you need to do is have beaten the Pokemon League, have hatched 20 eggs prior to opening up the battle tree, or when you do open the battle tree, hatch 20 eggs. Talk to the judge, and after you've hatched 20 eggs, he'll give you access to the judge feature on your PC. And what that allows you to do is you can now look at these Pokemon and see what stats are the best with their individual values. Now, as you can see, I've bred quite a few Pokemon and I've caught a few Pokemon, and I have a lot that say best, and that's exactly what you want from a Pokemon. So you need this feature while you are breeding, so that way you know which ones to switch out. Secondly, what you want to do is go and catch yourself a Fletchinder from Route 8 with the ability Flame Body. Now, most people know Talonflame for having the ability Gale Wings. However, Flame Body is essential for breeding, because the fact that if you have the Pokemon with the ability Flame Body at the front of your party, it causes eggs to hatch at a much quicker rate than without it. So this isn't very 100% necessary. However, it is essential if you want to start breeding much quicker and much more efficiently. The final thing you want to do post-game is get the Oval Charm. What the Oval Charm it does is it allows you to find eggs inside the Pokemon nursery at a much higher rate. And that way you don't have to walk around forever for another egg to appear. Eggs actually start appearing more and more frequently with each cycle that you do. And you can get this by battling Morimoto and defeating him in the Dimensional Research Lab on floor 2. Now, before we finally start getting into breeding and getting into the egg moves, which will be the first part, what we need to do is determine what we actually want from the Pokemon. Now, there are two very important websites that I would use every time I'm breeding, and that is Pokemon Showdown and Cerebi.com. Pokemon Showdown is a website that allows you to build Pokemon essentially online and then test them out in battles, but this gives you a rough estimate on how they would work out and how they would look at level 50, at level 100, and it allows you to determine what moves will work the best, and it just allows you to try things out. Now, with Cerebi.com, what this is a website that tells you everything you need to know about the Pokemon, where it comes out with all the abilities, all of the moves that you can actually get, where to find certain Pokemon, certain egg moves, what breeding group they're in, all that type of stuff, TMs, and that's why I always like to use this, because when you want to build a Pokemon specifically for a team, you want to know all you can about this Pokemon. Now, for our Beware, what we're going to be running is an Adamant Natured, Assault Vested, Hammer Arm, Thunder Punch, Ice Punch, and Earthquake for our set. And that's exactly what I feel would work out pretty well. It's going to be a fun little set. Nothing too exciting, but it's something cool. However, if we look here, Thunder Punch and Ice Punch, we have those moves, but we can see here that Ice Punch and Thunder Punch are both egg moves. Now, these are all the egg moves that we get. We get Ice Punch, Thunder Punch, Force Palm, Endure, Wide Guard, Mega Kick, and Stomping Tantrum. Now, when I like to breed Pokemon with 4 egg moves just in case I want to try something else out. So what we're going to actually do is breed a Beware with Ice Punch, Thunder Punch, Wide Guard, and Stomping Tantrum, because I feel like those are the more interesting moves out of this whole egg move list. And that's exactly what we're going to do beforehand. Now, Beware and Stuffle both fall into the egg group of field Pokemon. Now, since we have the access to the field Pokemon egg group, there is one Pokemon in particular in which is great for breeding egg moves if they are part of the field Pokemon, and that is Smeargle. Smeargle can be found here on Route 2, 10% chance right here in this area up to the north, or you can find it at a 20% chance lower. Now what you want to do is go catch yourself a male Smeargle, and you're going to want to teach him the egg moves that you want on your Pokemon. For our example, we wanted to put on Ice Punch, Thunder Punch, Wide Guard, and Stomping Tantrum. Now, I've already made a guide on how to get egg moves and how to get moves onto Smeargle. So I will show you that Smeargle that we got from that video. So what you want to do is catch yourself a male Smeargle, and I will slide this up. You want to catch yourself a male Smeargle, and the reason why it has to be male is because when you are breeding, the female of the Pokemon that you are breeding is what the Pokemon will end up being in the egg. So since it's a male Smeargle and it can breed with a female Stuffle, then we can actually have ourselves a Stuffle when it's born. Now, if you want to keep going and try to do something that isn't part of the field group, then you just have to go onto Cerebi.com, look at which Pokemon breeds down with each other and which egg moves you get. Now there might be some difficulty because in Sun and Moon, as of the time I'm filming this, Pokebank has not been released, so certain egg moves on certain Pokemon are not available in this game. Also, I have to say that sometimes breeding is a little bit more difficult getting the egg moves because you might have to do multiple breedings. For example, if you want to get Curse on Rowlet, first you have to get Curse on Farfetch, and that's an egg move for Farfetch in which it has to breed with a Numel. So Numel to Farfetch and Farfetch to Rowlet. So sometimes you have to be extremely careful with how you're breeding, and the next thing you have to do besides this is go get yourself a female Stuffle or Beware. Using Cerebi, we can find out the location of the wanted Pokemon, and for our Beware and Stuffle, we can find a Beware outside of the battle tree, and we can find a Stuffle outside of Route 8, right outside of the motel. Now, it is a 5% encounter rate for each of these Pokemon, so they are very difficult to find. However, my suggestion is if you are finding a 5% Pokemon that you want to breed down, bring a Pokemon with False Swipe with you, so that way you can start an SOS chain to go get a female, because you have a 5% chance of encountering, plus another 50% chance of that being female, so it's a 2.5% chance to get the Stuffle or Beware that you want. So by bringing an SOS starter such as Pangoro, it's going to be much easier for you to find the female Stuffle or Beware or Pokemon that you want. Now, I was very fortunate to go get a shiny female Stuffle in my SOS chaining, and I caught that, and we are going to be using that Stuffle for this breeding tutorial. However, like I said, all you have to do is just keep trying. It's possible. I'm going to keep running around. If I can find a Beware, I will show that for you guys. If not, then we'll just get right into the next clip. Now, the next step is to deposit your Smeargle and your Stuffle into the Pokemon nursery. All you have to do is talk to this lady. She can take up to 2 Pokemon at once. Now, due to changes in Pokemon Sun and Moon, this is called the Pokemon Nursery, and what the nursery does is it allows up to 2 Pokemon. No Pokemon will be leveled up or gain experience while here at the nursery, nor will they learn new moves. So it is a bit different, so you won't be getting a level 100 Ditto every time you do this, because Ditto is normally the Pokemon everyone just sticks inside the daycare and forgets about. Now, you don't need anything other than your Flame Body Pokemon or your Oval Charm for this. You don't need any specific items. That comes for when you're doing your IV breeding. Now, like I said, the female Pokemon is what will end up being what's inside the egg, and it's going to be just that Pokemon. The only exception is you can have a male Pokemon get an egg of that Pokemon if it's breeding with a Ditto. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to quickly run around, and you can go find out that the egg is ready. There's an egg ready here when you go talk to the lady when she has her arms folded. Now, what you want to do is you want to run around in circles using your Tauros right here. This is the best place to go hatch eggs and to go wait for them. Now you see that her arms are folded. Hop off your Tauros. You go ahead and talk to her. And then the second that you breed your egg, it will come out with the 4 egg moves as a Stuffle. So what we want to do right now is actually get both a male and a female with these egg moves, due to the fact that the next step is going to require you to have either or, depending on the nature of depending on the gender of the next Pokemon we get. So I'm going to hatch this for you real quick, and then I will show you guys what we get. Now this is the very first Stuffle that we've hatched, and it came out with the 4 egg moves: Wide Guard, Stomping Tantrum, Ice Punch, and Thunder Punch. The ability is Fluffy, which is actually really good because that's exactly what we wanted. And now let me touch up on something quickly. The ball that the Stuffle is in is actually a luxury ball, and the reason is because the female that I bred with had a luxury ball on it, and that's what the chances are whenever you're breeding. Now Dittos will never pass down their ball, nor will a Pokemon that is a male pass it on to the female. Now this only happens if it's of 2 different Pokemon. If I breed this male Stuffle with a female Stuffle in a love ball, now there's a 50% chance either ball will pop down. And what we're going to do now is move on to the actual part of breeding for IVs and a competitive nature. The hardest part about breeding is getting a Pokemon with the correct IVs, nature, ability, and ball that you want. Now a few things you want to obtain before we begin the next part is to obtain a synchronized Pokemon with the nature Adamant, an Everstone, a Destiny Knot, and a few Dittos ranging in all the IVs that you need for your Pokemon. Let's first talk about Synchronizers. Synchronizers are Pokemon with the ability Synchronize, which when they are at the front of your party, they give the wild Pokemon a 50% chance of having the same nature as your Synchronizer. As you can see here, I have multiple Synchronizers, and we also have the Adamant nature, which is needed for our Beware. Now, the best Synchronizer, in my opinion, is Abra, due to the fact that he can be found very early on in the game, and you can catch him very easily with a Quick Ball. So if you catch an Abra with a Quick Ball and it's not an Adamant Synchronizer, or if it's not a Synchronizer at all you have to do is breed it with a Ditto, and it gives you a 1 in 25% chance of having any nature, due to the fact that that's how natures work, because there are 25 different ones. However, there's also an inner focus Abra, so you just discard any Abras that do not belong to what you want. Now, certain popular Abras are ones with Modest, Adamant, Jolly, or Timid, due to the fact that they raise either speed, special attack, or attack, while it lowers the stat that's not needed. And that's exactly what natures do in competitive battling. They lower a stat that isn't needed while boosting another stat simultaneously. So this is probably one of the more important parts in which you want to actually use the Synchronizer to get a wild Pokemon of the synchronized ability, or the synchronized nature. Now what we're going to do, we're going to go capture ourselves a Stuffle using an Adamant Synchronizer, and due to the 5% chance, it's going to be very hard, plus another 50% chance on top of that, making our encounter be 2.5% chance to get an Adamant Stuffle. Now, this is very difficult, but I am lucky enough to have Wonder Traded and got myself an Adamant Stuffle with a Love Ball, which is actually the ball I actually want. So right here is the Stuffle I got from Wonder Trade, and it's a female. So what you want to do is you want to go and take the Pokemon that you've gotten from prior, like I said, breed a male and a female with the egg moves you want. Just in case of your Adamant one being an opposite nature, you want to have the Pokemon you need. So we have a male Stuffle with the egg moves, and then we have an Adamant female Stuffle with the correct nature. The second necessity to breeding competitively is to have an item called the Everstone. The Everstone is actually a pretty common item that you can obtain whenever you go and capture a Roggenrola. Sometimes they might have an Everstone because of the fact that they have a 50% chance of having an Everstone on them. Now what the Everstone does is, besides the fact that it causes a Pokemon to not evolve when they are leveled up, it also allows you to breed Pokemon, and the Pokemon holding the Everstone passes down the nature of whatever that Pokemon is. So for example, when we breed our Adamant Stuffle with the Wide Guard Stuffle that is a bashful nature, and if we give the Adamant Stuffle an Everstone, the babies will have the 4 egg moves, and it will have the Adamant nature indefinitely. Now what that does is, when it cuts down the time, because even though it's not 100% necessary, It's extremely helpful due to the fact that now you have a 100% chance of getting the correct nature rather than trying to breed but only have a 1 in 25 chance of getting the nature that you want. Plus there's a 50% chance for abilities to happen. Now Everstones, like I said, can be found on Roggenrollas and 10 Carat Hill, and also you can use Poképelago to go and try to find it whenever you go on some treasure hunts. However, like I said, the easiest way is to go use Thief on a Roggenrola or to catch a few, and then you'll end up with having a few Everstones. The third one that you need is having this Destiny Knot. Now the Destiny Knot is essential. You 100% need this item due to the fact that you don't want to rely on odds in the millions of getting a competitive Pokemon by chance. Because if you do not have the Destiny Knot, the IVs on Pokemon will be random. And it will just be like hatching a wild Pokemon, where you have an extremely low chance of having it being 5 IVs in the nature, in the abilities and stats that you want it. So what the Destiny Knot does is it passes down 5 random stats from your Pokemon, 5 random IVs. Now I've explained this item in depth, and I will leave a link in the description to that video that will explain how this item exactly works, so that way you won't be confused as to why we need it. But this item is essential. Now the difficult part about this item is because beforehand they were easier to obtain. All you had to do was battle a Pokemon trainer, or you could find it in the wild. However, this is going to have to be obtained only by pickup, which is an ability that is extremely unused rather than to get the Destiny Knot, or you have to go get it for 48 battle points inside the Battle Royale. Now Battle Royales require you to have competitive Pokemon, and unless you want to lose 48 times consecutively, it's going to be much more difficult to get this Destiny Knot than previously thought. So my suggestion is to get a level 50 or level 40 to 50 Pokemon with the ability pickup, and it gives you a higher chance of getting this Destiny Knot whenever you beat a Pokemon, because whenever you beat a Pokemon with the ability pickup, you get a 10% chance of having your Pokemon with pickup have an item at the very end of it. And Destiny Knot, along with quite a few other things such as like an item like Leftovers, you have a chance of picking those up. But this is an essential to breeding, and like I said, link will be in the description down below for you guys to check out exactly how this item works. Now, the final most important thing to get is to get some Dittos with perfect IVs maxed out in the stats that you want. Now, I've caught plenty of Dittos, and catching Dittos in Sun and Moon with perfect IVs has never been so easy. It's never been this easy in Pokemon X, Y, or Omega Ruby, Alpha Sapphire, due to the fact that SOS chaining breeds. It gives you a chance of having a 4 IV Pokemon after 31 encounters, and that is not a chance, is 100% guaranteed you will have at least 4 perfect IVs for a Pokemon whenever you reach up to 31. Now the reason why we choose Ditto rather than getting a 4 IV Stuffle with the natures and abilities that we want and the stats we want is the reason that Ditto is universal with breeding. You can breed Ditto with pretty much anything. I think the only exception are almost legendaries, not even, because you can breed Manaphy with Ditto. Now, this is possibly the coolest thing ever, just to have a Ditto with 4 IVs. It hasn't never been this easy, especially with guides given out by Verlisify or other people who give you instantaneous Ditto machines and like that. I've created a Ditto guide myself, and if you guys want to, I will leave a link in the description for you guys to go check that out on how to get it. But it is essential. So for our Stuffle, we needed stats in HP, Attack, Defense, Special Defense, and Speed. So we have a 4 IV Ditto with HP, Attack, Defense, and Speed. But we also have another Ditto with HP, Attack, Special Defense, and Speed. So the Defense and Special Defense are the ones that are flip-floppy, so we need to go breed 2 different Dittos with our Stuffles. However, it is extremely easy to do this, and this is the last thing you need to do before you can actually start breeding competitively now. Now that you have your synchronizers, your items, your Dittos, you can now start to breed. So now here's the first actual step of the breeding process now that we have all of our prereqs. We have to go give our Stuffle with the nature Adamant, the Everstone, and then we also have our Stuffle of the opposite gender with the 4 egg moves that we want. So now the breeding offspring will be an adamant-natured Stuffle with the 4 egg moves. And that's 2 out of the 3 requirements done. You will have your nature, you will have your egg moves. Then the last thing you need to do is just get IVs. Now the final thing I forgot to mention is the fact that the ability, it depends for certain Pokemon. You can only get a hidden ability by using SOS battles. Now we don't want a hidden ability Stuffle or Beware here, so we are okay with the 50% chance. You cannot breed down abilities 100%. You will not have that option ever. You'll always just have a 50% chance for this, a 50% chance for that, or a 100% chance for this. And if you want to breed a hidden ability one, you have to obtain a hidden ability Pokemon via SOS chaining. And that's a little bit harder said than done. For certain Pokemon it's easier, such as you will have Vulpix, which when it comes on with its hidden ability, it will start to hail. Or if you have a Pokemon like Pangoro, where it will say the mold has broken, I believe his ability is Scrappy. So if he can hit your Pokemon with fighting type moves, then you can tell he is a Scrappy Pangoro or a Pancham. So that's the only thing I forgot to mention. Abilities cannot be passed down, but if you want to get a hidden ability can be passed down, and it has a 50% chance, and then the other ones have a lower percent. So what we do now is we just take our Stuffles and we just stick them inside the daycare. And that's essentially it. And we want to breed, and the very first Stuffle is what we're actually going to use. So we only need to breed 1 Stuffle here. And you will need money for breeding, because the fact that every time you take out a Pokemon is going to cost 500 Pokédollars in this game. So you will need a bit of money. And the next thing you want to do, you just drop off the other one. And since they are both male and female, they will breed together. And you just have to go get the next Stuffle, and I will show you guys what that Pokemon will be as soon as we hatch it. So now this Stuffle right here that we just hatched will have an adamant nature, and it will have 4 egg moves, and I will just show that to you guys right now. But this is the reason why we do this, because now this Pokemon is going to be the base Stuffle that we will be using for the next part, because now we can actually start breeding with Dittos. Now as you can see, it's inside of a Love Ball due to the fact that it had a 50% chance of that being passed down. It has the 4 egg moves, Wide Guard, Stomping Tantrum, Ice Punch, and Thunder Punch. And as you guys can see up here, it has an adamant nature. So this right here is a great Stuffle. But I believe personally there is a 1 in 31 chance of each stat being a perfect IV, but we can go check that out, because if it does have a perfect IV, it's going to make the next step pretty easy actually. But it's not going to always be the easiest, because there's only a 1 in 31 chance for each stat. So as you can see here, we actually have 2 perfect stats by random. None of the Pokemon were holding a Destiny Knot. So this is actually really crazy. This is really crazy. We have HP and attack. Now everything else is pretty average, but that's really good. Now we can actually breed this with a Ditto. So what the very next step I do normally is I create a chart, which I have to go find out where I put it at. But I create a chart so that way it lets me know when I need to start breeding and which Pokemon I need to switch. And I just have to go find it for you guys real quick, because for some reason it went MIA. I will be right back. Now this is what I refer to as a breeding chart. I do this so that way it allows me to know what I'm breeding and when I need to switch out. So we have a Stuffle right now with the IVs in both HP and attack. Now normally when you start off you won't have a single IV. Now what you want to write down is the Dittos you will be using and what you actually want as your outcome. So for our example, we are going to be using an HP, attack, defense, and speed Ditto with an HP, attack, special defense, and speed Ditto. That way we will eventually have every stat that we need. Now we are going to start off with the HP, attack, defense, and speed Ditto, and we're going to breed it with our Stuffle. So when we will make switches in both columns. Now we make a switch here is when we have a Stuffle with the defense IV. And the reason why is because if we have a defense IV, we can actually have a small chance of having a 5 IV once we switch it out. Now, it's going to be harder if you don't switch out with Destiny Knot, but every time we get a better set, for example, if we have HP, attack, speed, then we switch out for this because it just adds onto the pool. And every time you switch out, just make a note on here and then just write down what's going to be there. This side right here is for Stuffles, and this side right here is for Dittos. Now, the next step is to take out the Pokemon that were originally inside the daycare to get your baby Stuffle. And you're going to give your new Stuffle that has the Adamant Nature and the Egg moves, the Everstone. And you're going to give your Ditto the Destiny Knot. So that way your Pokemon will now start passing on IVs to the parent, from the parents to the child. And you will also have the Nature Adamant passed down from your Stuffle to your new Stuffle. So all you do is you just put them inside the daycare now, and what you're going to want to do after that is you're going to want to do you want to do a batch of 5. Now, batches are when you do a whole party full of Pokemon at once. That way you can always get a chance to have a good, like a really good chance of getting more Pokemon, because the more Pokemon you breed, the more chance and the more likelihood it will be for your Stuffle to be passed down IVs, and you'll have more maxed out IVs when you breed 5 at a time rather than just going 1 at a time. Now, what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be showing you guys every time I do a change to the parents, so that way you guys get an idea of how many times you're going to have to change. And like I said, every time you make a change, it will cost $500, and you want to write it down inside your little script that you have. So I will be right back when I go and change the parents again. Okay. Now that we have a new Stuffle, this was after the first batch. We have one that now has HP, attack, defense, and special attack, which is pretty strange because special attack was not even a passed down trait. That was a 1 out of 31 chance of getting. So we have now a 4 IV Stuffle with defense. Now, like I said before, now that we have defense on here, if we breed it with the other Ditto that has special defense, now we have access in the gene pool HP, attack, defense, special attack, special defense, and speed. So essentially we could get a 5 IV Stuffle extremely quickly. So what you do now is, now that we've gone here, we checked out the stats, we bring them into our party, we take these guys out, and then we switch them around, and you update your little breeding chart. So that way now it says that your Stuffle has HP, attack, defense, special attack, and now that your Ditto has HP, attack, special defense, and speed. So now we have a chance of getting that 5 IV Stuffle right now. And like I said, all you have to do now is just take these guys out of the daycare, switch up the items due to, it's a little bit weird where you just have to press the held items button, but you can switch them around like that. And you just give them that, you put the new Stuffle and you put the new Ditto inside the daycare, and then you go and put the other Stuffles inside of a box. And my box right now is labeled giveaway, but the reason why it's labeled giveaway is due to the fact that at the very end of this, you will probably be doing some wonder trading, and I will explain at the very end when we do get the Stuffle as 5 IV. So we're going to quickly just switch up the held items. We're going to give the new Stuffle the Everstone, and then the new Ditto the Destiny Knot. And now that gives essentially a guaranteed 3 IV'd Ditto. I mean a 3 IV'd Stuffle. And that's really cool. So we're just going to drop these 2 off, and I will update you guys as soon as we get a new Stuffle or a new 5 IV Stuffle. So the only thing that we can change now is just the Stuffle parent, due to the fact that it could be better, because if we get HP, attack, defense, and special defense, then we would only be missing speed, and it would just add to a better gene pool. But now we have everything available. We don't need special attack, but we do have everything available. So I will update you guys very shortly. So now we have a Stuffle with HP, attack, defense, speed, and special attack. So all it's missing is special defense, and the Ditto that we are breeding with currently has special defense as an IV. So now that we put this one in, there's no reason for us to change it anymore. There is nothing that we can get that's better. There will be nothing better, because the next best thing will be a 5 IV Stuffle. So that's the very next step. We're going to just go through this and put this Pokemon in, switch it out for that Stuffle. I've updated the list already, and I will show you guys the list briefly at the very end of this. And now all we have to do is just switch it, and the next Pokemon we should get will be a 5IV Stuffle. After doing 3 rotations of the parents that we had originally, we now finally have a Stuffle that has an Adamant Nature, the Fluffy ability, the Love Ball, 4 egg moves, and perfect stats in HP, attack, defense, special defense, and speed. So this right here is a competitive Stuffle. Now all you have to do from here is just level it up to level 50, EV train it in both attack and HP with 4 and 2 special defense, and it will be a perfect Stuffle. All you have to do is just teach it the right moves. Now this is essentially it for breeding for a competitive Pokemon. I've taught you the basics on how to do everything. Now we get to the final step, which I will leave a link in the description on specifics and showing it in action. However, the final thing is, if you want to go all out and get a shiny competitive Pokemon, it is 100% more possible than ever in Pokemon Sun and Moon than in previous generations, because in the Pokemon Sun and Moon, you can get access to bottle caps. Now what bottle caps do is, once you're at level 100, you can go and essentially boost the IVs of one Pokemon all the way to the best. It's going to be an aesthetic, so it won't physically change, so you can't breed it if it's a hyper trained Pokemon and go and get IVs perfect to 31. However, it will make the stats appear as though they are perfect. So for example, if we take this and we want to make this a 6 IV, we would raise it to level 100, use a bottle cap, which are very rare, but you can find them in the festival plaza, or you can hunt for it in fishing, or you can go use Pokepelago and you can get the shards to go get bottle caps, or golden bottle caps. Now all you would have to do, raise it to level 100, use 1 bottle cap to boost up the stats. Now this is why this is important, because to get a shiny easier, you need to you have to do the Masuda method. Now the Masuda method happens when you breed 2 Pokemon of 2 different regions together. It produces a Pokemon that can be shiny with a higher chance. It's 1 out of 600 some, rather than being 1 out of 4,000. And what you need to do for most people, I would just put a Ditto up online and then just ask for a random Ditto back, but put your tag as in, I'm looking for Pokemon of other countries. Now what normally will happen is they will send something that isn't very good IVs back to you, but from a different region. For example, this one I got is from Japan. I believe it has 2 perfect IVs, which is more than what most people do, believe it or not. Because most people, they just trade you the very first one and it won't have any perfect IVs. So what you have to do is you have to breed this with the new Pokemon you just hatched. So we would breed it with our Stuffle that is 5 IV, and we will have at least some IVs maxed out on our Stuffles when we breed it, and the shiny one will have a chance to have at least some maxed out. So all you have to do is just make sure you have 5 bottle caps, just in case you don't get a single IV that's perfect. But you would always have the right nature, so you would just give it the Everstone to this, Destiny Knot to the Ditto, and they would just breed over and over again. Like I said, I left a link down in the description to a previous Masuda method guide, and all you have to do essentially is just hatch a lot of eggs and you might get lucky. Now that's about it I have for this video. So if you guys really did enjoy, please hit that thumbs up button down below. Also, I want to let you know that I left 2 links down in the description for videos I plan to upload right after this. One is a 4 IV Ditto giveaway, a Japanese Ditto with the Destiny Knot, and one with an Everstone, and an Adamant Synchronizer Abra. The second video is going to be a video where I'm going to take suggestions from you guys, and I'm going to try to breed Pokemon and make a competitive Pokemon each week. I tried to do a series like this beforehand, however, it didn't work out the best due to the fact that people really weren't suggesting much. But I will be breeding competitive 4 egg move, decent IV Pokemon to give away to you guys. They would be considered rejects, and I will keep going. I will try to give away as many 5 IVs as possible. But you guys just give me suggestions down in the comment section below, and I will try to make these Pokemon each week. 1 Pokemon a week. That sounds about accurate. We built this Stuffle all in 1 day, so it's crazy. So I can definitely do that. And the final thing I actually want to talk about is I do think that the best thing you want to do with your Stuffles or any Pokemon that you breed that, for example, are not perfect, So I'm going to show you quickly once I find the box that they're all in, because they're all in one box. Okay, now here's something that breeders love: wonder trading. Wonder trade, people love to send off their breedjects, Pokemon that have good egg moves, have good IVs or natures, but they aren't exactly 5 IV or perfect. So they trade them away and send them out to the rest of the community. So that's what I suggest to you guys. I love when I wonder trade out my Pokemon that I bred, due to the fact that they are perfectly fine for continuation of breeding. Now the thing is, some people want to start theirs from scratch just to know it's legitimate. Just make sure the ball's legitimate. If the ball is legitimate and if the egg moves are legitimate, then it's a legitimate Pokemon in my eyes. I don't breed with a 6 IV Ditto from Japan anymore, because I did that once and I was like, well, this isn't really fun for me. I got a friend who gave me a 3 IV one from the Friend Safari, and I've gotten lucky before where I've gotten 6 IV shinies in Pokemon X and Y, but breeding in this game has been so much more simplified. So, like I said, just trade off all of your rejects, and then you'll get something in return normally. You might get a first route Pokemon, but most people will be sending out things like Gibble, and you have Marowaks with egg moves and adamant natures or jolly natures, and they have great IVs, they just aren't perfect. So definitely trade those away. So that's all I have for this video. If you guys did enjoy, please hit that thumbs up button down below, because it really does help me out. I worked quite a bit hard on this video, so if you guys would like to support me, just leave a like and a comment, and I will leave a link to the next video where I'm going to be talking about the giveaway, and I will leave a link to the suggestion page I'm going to make. Well, it's not a page, it's going to be a video, but you guys get what I'm saying. So thank you guys for watching, and I will see you guys next time with more Pokemon content. So until then, YouTube, goodbye.